If you're doing a qualitative PhD and you're struggling to get clear on what your contribution to knowledge is because your findings feel quite complex and difficult to explain concisely, this video is for you. Many qualitative PhD researchers get to a stage where they have read extensively, they have immersed themselves in theory, they've collected rich, detailed qualitative data, and they have written thousands and thousands of words, yet their contribution to knowledge, their original contribution to knowledge, still remains quite unclear. Not wrong, not empty, just difficult to pin down. And at this point, the internal question becomes, is this really enough for a PhD? And underneath that question is another one. How can I possibly claim that I've made an original contribution to knowledge when I haven't read absolutely everything? This pressure is usually built on a misunderstanding of what a doctoral contribution to knowledge actually means. So let's break that down. A qualitative PhD is not supposed to revolutionise a field, produce a universal truth, or close down debate forever. Doctoral contribution is incremental. It's small and it's precise. In qualitative research, contribution very rarely looks like a dramatic breakthrough. It often looks like a refined interpretation, a clearer conceptual distinction, a deeper understanding of lived experience, a theoretical nuance which was previously under-articulated. At doctoral level, contribution simply means that your study helps us understand something a little better, a little differently, or in more depth than before. And when that becomes clear, the emotional pressure that so many PhD students feel around originality, that starts to soften a bit. Because now, we're not talking about intellectual heroics or paradigm-shifting fireworks in the background kind of research. We're talking about careful, disciplined scholarship that is small, that's precise, that's incremental. Another myth is that your PhD must hinge on some major theoretical breakthrough. In reality, most qualitative doctorates make several modest but meaningful contributions. The contribution is an amalgamation of different things. Let's look at some different types of contribution with some examples. First up, the conceptual contribution. You clarify how a concept is understood or enacted in practice. For example, in education, you might distinguish between student engagement as behavioural compliance and student engagement as relational belonging. So you're showing that teachers and students use the same term in fundamentally different ways. Or in social work, you unpack what empowerment actually means in frontline practice, demonstrating that this is about negotiation as well as autonomy. You're not inventing a new concept here, you're refining one that already exists. Next up, theoretical contribution. Here, you extend or nuance an existing theoretical framework. For example, in health research, you apply a well-known behaviour change theory to your study of how people manage a particular illness, and you show that relational support plays a more central role than the original framework emphasised. In education, you use sociocultural theory to analyse how people speak to each other in a classroom environment, and you demonstrate that power dynamics are way more significant than the original theory said they were. So here, you're not replacing theory, you are deepening it, and that is a contribution. Next up, methodological contribution. Here, you might demonstrate how a qualitative method operates in practice or adapt it thoughtfully. For example, in social work research, you might critically reflect on interviewing vulnerable families and show how researcher reflexivity shaped the data. In a health setting, you might adapt participatory methods for patients, and you might document how this enriches the data within a specific field. So here, you're not inventing a new method, you're showing how it works, what it requires, and what it reveals in a specific context, and that is a contribution. Next, empirical contribution. You provide rich insight into a specific group or setting. For example, in education, you explore how first-generation university students experience academic belonging during their first year. In health research, you examine how community nurses navigate emotional labour in a particular area of care. These are contextual findings. They're not universal claims about all students or all nurses. They're grounded, situated insights, and that is a contribution. And lastly, applied contributions. So here you generate insights that inform practice. For example, in social work, your findings might change how early career practitioners are supervised. In education, your research might inform how mentoring programs are structured in secondary schools. You're not claiming to reform national or international systems. You are offering careful, evidence-based insight that improves understanding or practice, and that is a contribution. You don't need all of these. A couple of them, done well, is usually enough. And notice something important here. None of these examples are revolutionary. None of them are claiming that they're transforming an entire discipline. They are small, specific, and carefully reasoned. And that is exactly what examiners are looking for in a qualitative PhD. Get into the comments on this one. Out of all the types of contribution that I've laid out there, which one resonated with you? Conceptual, empirical, theoretical, methodological, practical? At any point, did you think, yes, that one, I've definitely got that one? Get typing down there. Let me know which one you feel good about. Now, let's address an urge that a lot of researchers have. I just need to read more. That feels responsible. It feels sensible and logical. But trying to read everything in and around your topic doesn't clarify your contribution. Often, it makes it blurrier. In qualitative research especially, over-reading can expand your conceptual lens so widely that it actually starts to dilute what you think your contribution is. Your boundaries start dissolving, your claims start getting vaguer. Your confidence shrinks because you start to think, well, I haven't got anything here. You've got to take a step back here and remember this. Examiners are not persuaded by exhaustive coverage. They're persuaded by clarity. They're persuaded by precision. They're persuaded by alignment between your research questions, your data, and your interpretation. They want to see a study that is coherent. A focused claim, grounded in a specific context, is way more convincing than a sweeping statement about transforming or revolutionising an entire field. In qualitative work, depth beats breadth every time. Sometimes the discomfort isn't about the research itself. It's about how you express it. It's about how you express your contribution. You know that you've got something, but you want to be careful in your language. You want cautious optimism, not whiz-bang fireworks. So here are a couple of wording swaps that you might want to consider. Instead of "this research proves," you might write "this study suggests." Instead of "this transforms understanding," you might write "this work contributes to understanding." Careful, qualified language like this signals rigour, not insecurity. In qualitative research, authority doesn't come from claiming a universal truth. Because generally, as qualitative researchers, we're quite sceptical about that kind of claim anyway. It comes from offering something precise, something small, something grounded, something embedded within a particular context. And it's that precision that builds your credibility. So, what is enough for a qualitative PhD? It's something specific, it's something careful, it's something well justified, with a clear explanation as to how that deepens our understanding. Your role as a qualitative PhD researcher is not to master an entire field. Your role is to make a clear, defensible contribution within it. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, there are another couple appearing on your screen right now that you might also enjoy. So go and check those out. I'll see you in there.